Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are reviewing the prequel to X, Pearl. And having seen Pearl now, I think that it is so much better than X. I had such a good time with this film. And I think that's predominantly for two reasons. The first is the style, the visual style, this really highly colorized, warm color palette to the film that makes such a stark contrast to the kind of grainy, more gnarly palette in X. And I think it really encapsulates that dreamy, kind of fantastical hyper-reality that Pearl exists in, where she's a bit deluded about her appeal and her own self-worth and how she comes across to others. She lives and breathes in her own kind of fantastical headspace about becoming a star and being famous and thinking she's got what it takes. And the visual aesthetic of the film really complements that. The other really big draw to it, I think, is Mia Goth. As a performance, I think she really comes into her own in this film. I don't think there was anything wrong with her performances in X, but I think she was playing a very typical kind of final girl character, as well as also the villain, hidden under a lot of prosthetics, whereas Pearl really allows her as a performer to breathe. And there's a couple of just really good sequences that are essentially just one-shot takes, where the camera just knows to stay on Mia Goth in close-up and just lets her performance take over the atmosphere. I think my favourite scene in the whole film is that table sequence where we don't cut away to her friend to see how she's reacting, and that heightens the suspense. While Pearl is essentially confessing and trying to confide in a friend, and really manages to capture a duality of the character where you feel compassion and sympathy for her while being incredibly disturbed and freaked out at the same time. I think out of all the horror films I've ever watched, no performance has probably leapt out to me more than Mia Goth's in this film. I think the horror aspects are quite sparse in this. I don't think I was ever particularly scared. I think I was more engrossed and compelled than I was scared watching this film. I don't think the horror aspects are at the forefront of the narrative. The horror and the gore that we get in this film all complement the character study that this film essentially is. So the violence we get to see in the film is an expression of more jealousy and rage than it is just outright violence for the sake of violence and shock. Yeah, I think Pearl was constructed and put together really well. It's a really interesting film. I think it is miles better than X and really gets me excited to see the different approach that they take with Maxine. If you guys have seen it, and I think if you don't live in the UK, you probably saw this film 6 months ago, do drop a comment below and let me know what you thought. Also, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, guys. That's always a huge help for me. And in the meantime, we'll see you for the next vid.